Alex, I wrote a blog article recently about how ease of close is not the same thing as an ICP. And we've talked about the articles that you've written, and you and I have spent a lot of time reading through my spam folder and picking on people who write just terrible emails. But I wanted to talk about a little trend, and I wanted to tell a little story first. Catalo Consulting started with my network. So our core customers are people that I've known, that I've worked with. And then when I started my own business, I reached back out to them and said, I can help you. And I call this founder heroics. We're using my network, we're using my actions, we're using me out there trying to push my business. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But after that, now I started saying, okay, well, I need more customers because my network is not big enough to fuel our business past where we are. So I said, okay, who's going to close the fastest? Well, smaller companies under $15 million in revenue closes the fastest, right? So, okay, cool. That's my ICP. Alex, I wish you had been here back then because I think you would have warned me about that. But what do you think about that, picking your ideal customer based off of what you think you can close the easiest?
That's a really good question, and I think that a lot of people can get confused about to easy of close a sale or to have the correct ICP to fit the ICP, because the confusion could be when someone closed the deal fast
Mm-hmm.
and okay, this is my ICP, this is awesome, I did it in 3 days, for example, and I gonna close the next sales in the next 3 days as well, and it could happen, and and you feel powerful, you feel the best seller of the world when you close two deals in less than a week. But as you say, that doesn't mean that the ICP could be the right one. And what happened here? Uh, ease of close is not the same as ideal fit because a fast sales cycle only measure how quickly a buyer say yes.
Yep.
And a real ideal client profile or ICP will also measure the pain intensity, the value realization, or the expansion and
Well,
profitability, auto market alignment as well.
the other thing we found is we were wrong. We thought, okay, uh, uh, $20 million is the cutoff for where people can close quickly. And
Yeah.
so we were going to them, targeting them because it seemed easy. But what ended up happening is we didn't close anybody. We would make some closes would happen not because we targeted them based off of their revenue, but because we were introduced to them through our network. And they just happened to close quickly. But if they didn't close quickly because of their revenue, they closed quickly because it was a referral from somebody that we do business with. That's not the same thing as, oh, it closed quickly because of their revenue. It closed quickly because they were able to establish our authority quickly, not because they didn't make much money, not because they were smaller. But the other thing is, I don't know if you've gone and run Quintalo Consulting in Clay or Apollo and pulled up what our revenue is, but it's wrong. So if you were trying to target like a mid-market nearshore consulting firms, and you were using a revenue filter, you would not find us there. The revenue filter is wrong. And so a lot of people that could do business with me are completely eliminated if I come at them with a filter that is notoriously inaccurate. How in the world do you think that Apollo knows how much money I make? They don't. They're guessing, and their guess is wrong. So here, so many companies come in and say under 15 million, that'll close fast, and they just cut out people that may be interested in doing business with me. And the other thing that we realized is the larger companies, the 500 million to $4 billion in revenue firms, are the ones that get more benefit from us. They are the ones that get more benefit from our nearshore consulting services, our nearshore managed services teams, or our captive offices. So by going and targeting smaller companies, we are eliminating the opportunity to do business with people that actually get the most benefit from our services. So what I've been reading a lot of articles about this. People are finally starting to say this. Your ICP is not a company that you can target the easiest. Your ICP is the company that will get the most value from your services. Your ICP is not the company that you want to work with the most. It's the one that will benefit the most from your service or product. And it doesn't seem that hard, because what we used to do, we have a client that is a $2 billion a year in the clinical pharma space. And it took me 2 years to close them. They were our first official client. 2019, we put our first people on the bench there. They're still there. 7 years later, we are consistently doing business with, growing our relationship with a larger company, a company that would not be in our ICP list, because if we built our ICP list off of what's easy to close. Because what's easy to close, one, is probably wrong, and two, is the wrong filter to begin with.
Yeah. And you know, the fast buyer can still be like weak customers if
Yeah,
they are unqualified or unlikely to succeed after the sale.
exactly. We had a client like this. They made the decision fast, very fast, and then they grew fast, and then they started changing their mind every dang day. Every day, new requirements. Every day, new priorities. And then that ended poorly, very poorly. Almost put us out of business because they grew fast. They closed fast. They grew fast, and then poof, disappeared. And we were sitting there with obligations, and we were sitting there with requirements. And the customer that got us through it was, that whole scenario was somebody who had been with us for a long time. They were stable, and they continued to do business with us. Took a long time to get through their vendor qualification process, to get through their decision-making process, but they're there, and they're stable and consistent and a delight to work with. And so, yeah, maybe it takes longer to close the right sale with the right customer. But that doesn't mean that you don't go and initiate conversations with them. That doesn't mean that your ideal customer is somebody else. The other thing that we've had a lot of trouble with is we go to a small customer and say, hey, you do $20 million, in revenue, or $5 million in revenue. You should do business with us because this other company that is not in your vertical, that is not in your revenue range, completely different profile, does good work with us. That's not a case study. That's not. So now the only way we close things is if I go and heroically close the sale. That might have felt good to 35-year-old Isaac, but that does not feel good to 44-year-old Isaac. We only make sales. I only eat if I close the sale, and I only close the sale through actions of my own because my case studies don't match the people I'm pitching to. I'm sorry, but that's not an easy close anymore. That I take all of my equipment away from my sales team. All of my tools, they're dead in the water now, and I have to go in and think on my feet and try to close something. That's not an easy close. That's not a easy sale. That's not my ICP.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, ICP is based because if you base your ICP in who buys the fastest, you may not have an ideal client profile. You may have a convenience profile. And what is
Yeah,
a convenience? The customer that I want to work with, not the ICP. The ICP, it could be a client that I don't want to work with this client, but we can have a really strong relationship with a really good profitability. But the easy way is a convenience profile, which is not the same that ideal client profile, and that is the big confusion that a lot of sailors has in their daily in every day to close because a fast sales cycle, Isaac, may also indicate it could be a strong pain, a clear urgency, and a buyer who understands the value. But that is the good version, you know.
Yep.
A fast sales cycle can also mean that the customer is unsophisticated, desperate, too small, or requires more process or making a shallow decision without fully understanding what a success will require.
And those unsophisticated customers, maybe that's great. Maybe that's where you need to be, but provide the right service. For example, the Globox go to market strategy is designed specifically for companies that are trying to emerge, that are trying to get into scale, kind of out of the startup phase and into the scale phase. They don't have the sophistication for their own sales teams. They don't have the sophistication. They don't have the maturity level to support their own marketing efforts completely. We've built products for those customers, and those customers are the ones that we are reaching out to for that product. I'm not trying to sell them managed services because they're not ready for a managed services team. I'm not trying to sell them AI software delivery. They're not ready for that. That's not the right. These two services, ICPs, don't overlap, and so and that's one thing that we see happen is somebody, oh, I've done this. Oh, I manage services. I love managed services. They're great. They create long-term opportunities for people in Central America, and they create long-term revenue and long-term benefit for my customer. They're amazing. Okay, well, let's go and sell them go-to-market strategies. They don't need go-to-market strategies. It's not the same ICP. Oh, well, we've got several a lot of new customers for our go-to-market strategies. Let's sell them managed services teams. These don't cross right now. They're different services with different ICP, and the ICP is not I want to sell something to them. The ICP is this customer will get the most value from my service. And Globox does not have the same ICP as Contalo Consulting. They're different businesses with different customers and different service lines. And a lot of people get excited. Oh, I found my entry point. I found my $50 sale that'll lead to $1 million sale. That doesn't exist, by the way. And they'll go out there and they'll try to make that sale. And then they'll think, yeah, I got a huge funnel for my other thing. And it doesn't work that way. What happens is your product or service has businesses already receiving value from it. Find more people like that. Find more people. Find more businesses that are similar to the people that get the most value from your service, and then go and reach them. And if it takes a year to close it, it takes a year to close it. They'll still be with you 15 years from now. And that's just a very shockingly different approach to go to market than what we see a lot of in the marketing space our competitors doing today, because what they measure is they measure conversions. So they're measuring how many people go into the site. Okay, great. What percentage of those people click on this artifact? Okay, cool. Once they click on that, what percentage of them schedule a meeting? Okay, cool. You got that. What percentage of the people that schedule a meeting become a customer? All right, great. Now send more people to the site. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to measure metrics instead of gauging benefit and measuring relationships. And so now they're like, okay, awesome. It costs $15,000 to get you a new customer at this level. put $30,000 into the pipeline and you'll get 3 new customers. And yeah, there's truth to that. Absolutely. That's measurable and it's very beneficial in a lot of industries. If you're doing home building, you're selling houses, that's exactly how you do it. That's exactly right. In a services company like Catalo, that doesn't work. In a company like Glowbox, I could end up with a lot of people that won't benefit from my service. So I have to identify how to target the right people and then how to reach those folks. And if I'm targeting, if my filter is what's going to close the fastest, I have the wrong filter.
Yeah, because actually, some of the best customer take longer to buy
Yeah.
something. In this type of client, they ask better question. They involve more stakeholders. They want a clearer proof. They inspect the business case, and they care about implementation. They think about the risk. They want the decision to make sense beyond the first conversation. And this happened a lot when we have a customer that asks a lot of questions. You know that this customer is very interested in the product and the service, and no matter how many days, how many weeks, how many months to have this customer as a clear yes at the end.
Yep. I
Customer,
have a customer. It took me months to get the meeting, and then we got the meeting, and we went in, and it took 4 more months for them to get approval to work with Nearshore. And then the night before Christmas Eve, I am in a hotel talking to lawyers from Northern Ireland, the United States, and Nicaragua, and working on final details in our contract. And that was almost 8 years ago, and they're still customers at a higher level than they were back then. And I could tell you that story over and over again. We have a large consulting firm. They've gone and acquired many other offices. They have offices in Central America, and we work with them on very specific needs because we're specialists. And I was a data scientist for 27 years, and I know data engineering. And so obviously Catalo Consulting has a lot of data engineers, and it's a relatively difficult profile to hire for. So it took us a long time to open that door and then nurture that relationship and then expand that relationship. But they're our largest customer. And if I had not targeted them because it was going to be a slow sale, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. I would be working a job somewhere trying to make ends meet. And I don't even know where you would be, but I'm happy we don't have to think about that because we put the time in, we did the effort. And now we do that constantly. All right, where's the next one? Let's select who we're going to work with. And yeah, maybe it takes time, but we'll put in the time, we'll put in the effort because it's going to be a relationship that lasts a long time. And last 2 years ago, we met somebody that was doing startup work. And last summer, I hooked up my RV and I went out and visited them in South Dakota. And then last month, one of their partners came and started doing due diligence with us. And then last week, we started sending them profiles. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll close our first seats with a new client that I started working on closing and building a relationship with 2 years ago. That I dragged my 34-foot RV up to spend time with them, and we sat with them, and yeah, it was longer to first dollar, but we'll work with them for years.
yeah,
And it kind of it's sad how often people, and I did this because of a lack of confidence in myself. I didn't think I could close another big client. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have the skill. I didn't believe in me enough to go after the people who really would benefit the most from my services. And the startups, yeah, we have a great service offering for startups, both on the marketing side and on the managed services side. We do great there, and that's often delivery, and then it converts to managed services. Large companies really get a lot of benefit from our captive office, and the captive office product is great for the larger businesses, and it's best for me too. It's stable, consistent revenue, and it's long-term stable jobs for our resources. It is our best product for everybody involved, and for years I was afraid to push it because I didn't think I could close it. And so when we talked to somebody this morning, they were saying, "Oh yeah, our ideal client is anybody under 10 million." All right, is that really? Well, we do a lot of work with nonprofits. Oh, do they benefit from the work? Oh yeah, they get a huge benefit from it. Are they less than 10 million in revenue? No, they're larger than that. Then why isn't that your ideal client profile? Uh, uh, Growing nonprofits with $20 million in revenue and at least 40 employees. They're the ones that get the most benefit from your service, right? Yeah. Why isn't that it? Well, I don't think I can close to them. You have, and you're maintaining a relationship with them. So why don't you believe in yourself enough to go after the person that would benefit the most from your service?
Mhm.
And that once you answer that question, things change for these companies like overnight.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, any final thoughts here, Alex?
Yeah, I think that we are learning a lot in this path that we are walking together, Isaac, and I think that we are learning on this podcast a lot and how to differentiate between an ICP and a convenience customer,
Yeah.
and also how to build or refine a better ICP. So my final thoughts is that we are here to help any startups or any company that needs to refine an ICP. So we have here as a Globox, and we'll have the full attention, and we can do very great things together. So
Yeah.
thank you for being here.
Awesome. All right.